Hey guys, I am Dr. Anthony Gustin,
And I'm Chris Irvin.
and we are here to tell you why you should quit fruit and stop eating it.
Yeah, that's like the most controversial thing about a keto diet. Everyone thinks that fruit's good for them.
There's a lot of different problems with it. The main one to me is just looking at nature and when this stuff would have been available at any time throughout the year before. I mean, if you've seen fruit at all fall from a tree or be ripe on a bush or whatever, it's something that like is a week long, 2 week long, 3 week long thing, and then it's done for the rest of the year. Like we should not have access as humans to unlimited amounts of fruit for across the entire year.
Yeah, that's something I remember as a kid seeing like in Illinois, like pear trees and stuff. I would
Yeah.
see a pear tree and I would see, it would grow over the summertime and there'd be a short period of time where they would be on the ground. And then I would wonder why I could go to the store and get pears in like December
Year-round.
and January and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yet stuff like kale, spinach, leafy greens, that stuff grows year round if the climate's right, and you clip it off and eat it, and it grows back, clip it off and eat it. But the fruit, it goes ripe, and then it's gone for the entire year. So you have like a short window. Yet what we're doing right now is eating like that every day for the entire year.
Yeah.
So that's problem number one.
Yeah.
Problem number two is that fruit, especially more than any other food, is so far from what it is in its wild component. An apple, how it should be, looks like a crab apple, like maybe the size of a quarter, and this is an apple in the wild. And it's super bitter, and if you eat like 3 or 4 of them, you get a stomach ache. Now we have like juicy Honeycrisp apples this goddamn big that like
Yeah.
you bite into it and it tastes like candy.
Yep.
That is not real. Like that's not a real food. Like we made that over the course of a long period of time, like trying to get the juiciest, sweetest, tastiest thing possible. It's not. It's a fake food. So it's not even a real food.
Yeah, and it should come as no surprise too. Like you hear a lot of people when they start a paleo diet, for instance, they'll say that I have fruit to replace sweets.
Right.
Well, it's because it's very sweet
Yeah.
tasting, so you don't need sweets when you eat a lot of fruit.
Right. And I think people don't realize, is the type of sugar that is in fruit. And so fructose. You wanna...
Yeah, fructose. A lot of people, they think that like when you talk about like, oh, you probably shouldn't be having fruit on a ketogenic diet because there's sugars in it. People are like, yeah, well, they're healthy sugars, right? So people have been under the impression that since we think that fruit is extremely healthy, that the sugars that are in them are also healthy. And fructose is actually maybe one of the most harmful sugars you can have. There's it's very pro-inflammatory. I think they're even having a lot more studies where they're linking it to things like non-alcoholic fatty liver disease as well as related to these fructose consumption. And the thing is like traditionally, like he said, we haven't consumed the amount of fruit that we're consuming now. So we're going to continue to see more problems as say for instance the paleo diet, as it keeps gaining more traction, more people are following it, more people are eating a ton of fruit. We're probably going to see more prevalence of these things happening. So we're still learning a lot about fructose, but it's definitely one of the most pro-inflammatory sugars you can have.
Yeah. What we suggest and kind of how I approach it is I think about basically 3 types of fruit. Berries, totally good. Like I think that like you get a lot of polyphenols out of berries. They have very low sugars, and you just like they're expensive, so like I'm not going to eat tons of them.
Yeah.
Like bitter or sour citrus fruits. So looking at lemons, limes, like some bitter grapefruits are totally fine, and then kiwis. So kiwis are actually probably the most nutrient-dense fruit if you're going to eat any fruit.
What fruits do you have?
Yeah, just I think blueberries, acai berries actually.
Okay.
So I put those in my smoothies. So just a acai puree, super low sugar and actually really delicious. Super high in antioxidants and stuff. And yeah, maybe some blackberries, some raspberries.
Yeah, and actually a fruit that we forgot to mention are avocados. A lot of people don't realize that they are a fruit.
Yeah.
I kind of tend to forget that because they're so low sugar, low net carbs and everything. But avocados are probably the best fruit that you can have on a keto diet. Really high in a lot of micros, especially potassium. Actually, I think is like 3 times more potassium than a banana, which people tend to think is like the standard source for getting potassium in. Yeah. We know it's important. So
Same with the kiwi.
Yeah.
So
really?
Kiwi
Okay.
has I think 2 or 3 times the potassium of a banana.
Interesting.
More
Okay,
vitamin C than an orange.
Wow.
Yeah. So Jeff, one of our guys, is making this Trish.io nutrition software, and I was asking him when we were in Thailand, I'm like, rank me out all the fruits, and like, what is the highest nutrient dense of fruits? Kiwis number 1.
Really?
Blew me away. Like what?
Might have to incorporate kiwis in a little more.
Yeah, so they're talking about it, and they're good. And so like I eat the skin with that same bitter thing of like, skin's not great, but you can like. I'm now at the point where like I'm like bring on the bitterness, because I know it's good for me, so I kind of like it to a certain degree.
Sometimes you eat for function, you know, it's not
exactly.
necessarily about the experience always.
Yeah. So if you guys are on keto, eating some real foods, good job, keep it up, but maybe cut out some of the fruit.
Yeah. Yeah, I think especially if you're somebody who's trying to make that next step, maybe you're already following a low carb diet, and you're thinking about jumping into keto. For a lot of times when I talk to people, all that's really left is just cutting the fruit out, and you're keto. So you're almost there.
There you go, guys. So I hope you learned something. If you did, like, comment below, subscribe if you like the channel, and you can follow me. I'm Dr. Anthony Gusson on Instagram, and
I'm the Ketologist on Instagram.
see you guys next time.